So today we are repairing a floor. So we're going to use levelling compound, Ardex, a very strong levelling compound, to correct this floor that has subsided for the customer. So both corners have dropped about 2.5 centimetres each. We'll be using a very strong Ardex NA. This literally, you pour 5 litres of the water in per 20 kilograms of bag, making sure you use an airless paddle. So that's what that paddle is. So if you use a traditional plasterer's paddle, it'll mix, but it puts horrendous amounts of air bubbles in it. So that bag there is the stones that will go in the first mix, and the stones are to help the 2.5 centimetre thickness areas. You'll see them there, they're special stones. You can use sand, but you know, they are the stones that actually that come with the actual Ardex for deep filling. However, this particular product will level floors up to 3 centimetres, up to 30 mil. It's an incredibly strong, fantastic, it's one of my favourites. It is a very expensive filler, levelling compound, but it's the best one I've ever used. You'll notice I've not primed the floors. You don't have to prime the floors. This stuff goes over bitumen, it goes over tiles, damp floors, wet floors. You can use it outside, you can use it inside. It's absolutely belt and braces floor levelling compound. My favourite. I try to use it whenever I can. The only time I won't use it if sort of a customer's not willing to pay or the extra, it's really not needed. Very straightforward to mix. You literally pour in 1 tub of the epoxy levelling mix per 1 bag of screed, and then if you're deep filling, you will add 1 full bag of stones per mix as well, and that just mixes up lovely. Also, you'll notice sometimes around the edges of a floor, there's a little tip here, a rubbish bag. That's how I use my rubbish bags. That's deep filling the stones, so sometimes around the edges of the floor there can be little holes and little gaps, and if you don't plug them up beforehand, the levelling compound will seep through and ooze out, and you'll end up losing a load. However, with the stones being added, that will fill those holes. And this is the tool I'm using. You can use a trowel, but I'm going to be using a notched spatula. So that's ready to go now. It mixes quite quickly. So I'm going to deep fill 2 corners. They're the worst areas. So I'm popping them down there, and there's a little hole in the skirting there as well. So this aggregated or levelling compound with the aggregate is really good at plugging up little holes that you might get around the edges. Which is very useful from saving a certain amount of gear point of view. I will say as well, normally 1 full bag has the potential on a flat floor to do about 5 square metres. This is a very lumpy bumpy floor, as you can see, so this particular floor will probably take, I think this floor took 5 full bags, and it's only 9 square metres. So that gives you an idea of how uneven it was. But depending on the thickness, really depends how far this stuff's going to go. Typically, when levelling a floor, 3 to 5 mil, if you sort of allow for around that, that's fairly standard. At least for the floors I've done. This is a particularly bad one, as I say, because they've had the subsidence. They think it's all been sorted, and they think it's sort of an old issue, but they're redoing the bedroom and just they could really feel it as they're walking around. They said they can really feel it. So I've deep filled it now, so now I'm just using the standard levelling compound. You can see there it's lovely to apply. you'll notice as well, once I've applied it, I'll rule it with the float. It kind of self-levels it levels itself to a point. You do need to sort of go over it a bit, and then I will use a spiked roller, and that helps get the air bubbles out. Although I must say, this particular product is one of the best I've used. And that is the room finished. Thanks for watching.